A very warm welcome to the APIFARMA conference. My name is Guilherme Vitorino and I'm the Director of the Health and Analytics Lab at Nova Information Management School in Lisbon. It is my great pleasure to moderate our panel today, especially when we have a range of such an amazing speakers that will challenge us under the topic of e-health, shaping the new future of healthcare. For our opening remarks of the conference, I will invite to the stage João Almeida Lopes, President of APIFARMA.
Muito boa tarde a todos. Por ocasião da presidência portuguesa do Conselho da União Europeia, a APIFARMA colocou em movimento o programa Liderança Europeia na Saúde, Não Deixar Ninguém para Trás. O projeto inclui um conjunto de iniciativas para reforçar o compromisso da indústria farmacêutica para mais e melhor saúde para todos os cidadãos europeus, para não deixar ninguém para trás. A conferência de hoje, Saúde Digital, Moldar o Novo, Futuro da Saúde, representa o culminar das iniciativas de caráter público. Hoje estaremos aqui a debater e a procurar soluções para fomentar a humanização dos cuidados de saúde, para extrair todo o potencial que se pode retirar dos resultados em saúde, para despertar o poder da cooperação ao serviço do futuro da saúde digital. A transformação digital está a ter um impacto substancial na investigação, no desenvolvimento, na produção, na geração de evidência, na avaliação, na disponibilização e na utilização de medicamentos e de outras tecnologias de saúde. Estas tecnologias de saúde, como sabemos, incluem sistemas baseados em inteligência artificial para a prevenção, diagnóstico, otimização do tratamento, monitorização terapêutica, dados para a prática da medicina personalizada, bem como outras aplicações de cuidados de saúde. As potencialidades, à luz do conhecimento atual, são já incontáveis, mas temos que imaginar o que vai poder ser alcançado no futuro. É consensual o enorme potencial que os dados de saúde têm para melhorar a qualidade e os resultados dos cuidados de saúde. Abrem caminho à normalização dos cuidados personalizados, ao acesso dos cidadãos e doentes aos seus dados e registros, à identificação de ineficiências, estimulam também a investigação e a inovação. A indústria farmacêutica está comprometida com o desenvolvimento e a captação do potencial da saúde digital, para melhorar os resultados em saúde e a qualidade de vida dos doentes. Só uma transformação digital na saúde permitirá registro de autocampos clínicos em larga escala. Só uma transformação digital permitirá avaliar comparativamente o uso de tecnologias de saúde e o registro de resultados, passo imprescindível para a adoção da medicina baseada em valor e para a produção de algoritmos de decisão clínica. Só uma transformação digital na saúde permitirá melhorar as interfaces entre os doentes e os serviços de saúde por via digital, nomeadamente consultas, exames, marcações, pagamentos, por aí fora. Só uma transformação digital na saúde permitirá implementar experiências piloto em que a organização e financiamento dos cuidados de saúde evoluam para uma ciência baseada nos dados e na sua análise. Só uma transformação digital na saúde permitirá priorizar a produção de conhecimento e integrar os dados gerados pelas ferramentas de saúde digital e os registros clínicos dos doentes, permitindo a monitorização constante e remota dos doentes. A saúde digital e a agregação dos dados dos doentes são o garante de uma melhor experiência ao longo do sistema de saúde, contribuindo para um sistema mais sustentável, para uma maior equidade e para uma maior humanização dos cuidados. Incentivar a utilização das tecnologias na saúde coloca o doente no centro do processo de decisão, capacitando para o registro e a partilha de dados. Só uma maior integração de dados clínicos, gerados através de um sistema colaborativo, permitirá que a saúde digital contribua para a otimização dos cuidados e consequente sustentabilidade dos sistemas de saúde. As potencialidades são enormes. O caminho tem de ser iniciado desde já. Permitam-nos apontar 3 prioridades. Primeiro, há que promover uma discussão de alto nível entre a saúde digital que aborde os desafios da transição digital. Depois, a par, há que avançar para a criação de um espaço europeu de dados de saúde que permita gerar e analisar informação de saúde a nível europeu com a colaboração de todos os intervenientes. E, por fim, há que maximizar os recursos de incentivos europeus e nacionais, em particular o Plano de Recuperação e Resiliência, para colocar Portugal e a Europa no grupo dos que lideram a implementação da saúde digital. Temos todos que contribuir para uma Europa onde a saúde digital e os dados em saúde concorram para aumentar o acesso e a qualidade dos cuidados de saúde junto de todos os cidadãos. Temos todos que nos unir por uma liderança europeia na saúde que não deixe ninguém para trás. Desejo a todos uma boa conferência e muito obrigado pela vossa atenção.
Thank you very much for the opening remarks, and we will move forward on to the first topic of the conference, which is fostering healthcare immunization. The automatization of care and rationing of resources due to economic imperatives often result in dehumanized care. The concept of humanization has been increasingly discussed in scientific literature. However, it is still lacking well-defined dimensions, and one dimension could be data and digital health. To shed some light on the topic, we'll have 2 keynote speakers today, Gosde Suzlu from the European Patients Forum and Ipak Kalra, President of the European Institute for Innovation Through Health Data. Our first presentation today is called Data Saves Lives, Data from a Patient's Perspective. Gosde Suzlu, who represents the European Patients Forum, which is an independent non-profit umbrella organization of patient organizations across Europe and across diseases, bring us her vision on how Europe have patient organizations value partners and creating a person-centered, accessible and sustainable healthcare system. Gosde, looking forward to hear you. The stage is yours.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Gosde Suzlu and I'm a project coordinator at European Patients Forum. Set up in 2003, based in Brussels, European Patients Forum is an independent cross-disease umbrella patient organization with 75 members. Our vision is all patients with chronic conditions in Europe to have equal access to high-quality, patient-centered health and related care. To start with, I would like to give a few highlights of EPF's patient-centered health data pillars. The first one will be patients in control of their data and well-established, meaningful, informed consent mechanisms, data for better healthcare and the public interest, health literacy and patients' empowerment, more inclusive and user-friendly database applications and products, and lastly, a patient-centered European health data space. Today, I would like to give you more insights about an initiative we are the secretariat of and coordinating as EPF. This also covers the pillar of health literacy and patients' empowerment. Health data sharing is a complex area and one that's evolving at an extraordinary pace. The process has been transformed by the introduction of new digital ways of storing, exchanging, and analyzing data. Incredibly, more scientific data has been generated in the past 5 years than in the entire history of mankind. It's no exaggeration to say that this wealth of data has the potential to transform public health. It could be used to help prevent illness, improve treatments, and reduce deaths, and indeed, there are already numerous examples of situations which has happened. This is just the start, and the possibilities are infinite. To truly harness the power of health data, it needs to be shared and used effectively. It's our mission at Data Saves Lives to make this a reality. Data Saves Lives is a multi-stakeholder initiative led by the European Patients Forum and the European Institute for Innovation through Health Data. Our aim is to raise wider patient and public awareness about the importance of health data, improve understanding of how it's used, and establish a trusted environment for dialogue on its issue. We have developed a range of resources and hold regular live events to make this possible. The Data Saves Lives website shares relevant information and best practice examples about the use of health data and how to generate easy-to-use materials about the basic concepts of data sharing, the data journey, and the safeguards in place. The website includes case stories, news updates, a blog with contributions from key individuals involved in the area of responsible health data sharing. It also provides an overview of health data privacy rules. As well as the website, Data Saves Lives has a presence on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. These are to maintain awareness of the issues around the sharing health data. We also hold regular live events in the form of tweet chats or webinars with expert panelists who contribute to a rich discussion on a variety of hot topics related to health data. We exist to spread the word about the health data sharing, and we couldn't do this without our wide network of expert advocates and the community. Through our expert blog series and patient stories, through providing quotes, videos, and sound bites for social media, as well as taking part on our expert panels for our live events, tweet chats, and webinars, our network of DSL advocates aim to equip others with the information needed to have a positive dialogue with their communities on important subjects around, such as understanding the importance of the potential benefits of data sharing, tackling misconceptions about data sharing, raising awareness of privacy issues and the need to ensure that the data protection is respected, making informed choices about participating in clinical trials and other forms of research, guidelines on using digital health data tools. These are encouraging to inform an open discussion about sharing health data, and we know this is the interest of everyone. We will all benefit, from individuals to healthcare systems and global populations. Building on insights from our end-of-year 2020 workshop, we conducted a survey among regional and national organizations to prioritize suggested tools and resources needed to initiate and implement health data communication and sharing initiatives locally. So we are now developing this first iteration of the toolkit with a variety of tools and resources, acknowledging different levels of resources and sophistication of patient groups and patient influencers. The toolkit will be available via the DSL website, and we will work with patient groups to help translate the resources for truly pan-European use. Our website remains our main hub for all things Data Saves Lives, but please follow our social media for regular updates in the health data space for our own resources and that of our wide network. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this fresh perspective on data. We will follow up on the topic with our second presentation called Digital Health Europe, Why It Matters. Our guest speaker, Deepak Kalra, is the president of the European Institute for Innovation through Health Data, which has the aim of connecting stakeholders and to co-create solutions to make better use of health data to boost smarter healthcare and efficient research. Deepak, the stage is yours.
Hello, my name is Deepak Kalra. I'm the president of the European Institute for Innovation through Health Data. This is a not-for-profit organization which unites stakeholders in helping each other to make better use of health data and improving the value of health data to everyone. We're fortunate in being involved in a number of initiatives that center on bringing patients more strongly on board through making better use of their own health data and contributing their data to others, for example, for research. When we engage with patients, it's very clear that they want to do more. My colleague Nathan, for example, is able to manage his diabetes through a very friendly and convenient device that allows him to check his blood glucose whenever he likes, wherever he may be, even in a public location, and to use that knowledge to adjust his insulin on demand and be able to enjoy eating and drinking whenever he likes through the day. When we engage with patients and with healthy citizens who may not yet have encountered illness, we find that they want to do many different things with their health data. They would like to play a stronger role in managing their long-term health conditions and to track their own efforts in staying fit and healthy. They would like their data to be used to help direct them to the information that's most relevant to them. For example, filtering what's out there on the web that can sometimes be overwhelming. Some would like to connect with other patients with a similar health condition so they can exchange insights and personal management strategies. They would like to be more empowered through understanding their own health data and to make joint decisions in communication with their health professionals, improving the care for themselves and also contributing their data towards better health for all. If we look at all the different ways in which people use healthcare digital tools, such as apps and wearable devices, we see that they can do a lot already if they're equipped appropriately and have empowering relationships with their health professionals. I'm not going to speak to all of these examples that you can see on the slide, but I would like to draw your attention to the fact that when patients understand how their data can be useful for research and how researchers can make use of their data in trustworthy ways, they are often willing to contribute their own collected data to research and to give permission for the data in their electronic health records to be used for research. As you know, there's a wealth of available downloadable mobile health tools and technologies which can sometimes be bewildering even for health professionals. The quality of these is quite variable, and it's therefore difficult to make informed and wise decisions about what technologies to recommend and adopt. The European Mobile Health Hub is an initiative that is setting up an online portal to help healthcare systems to design mobile health programs that are evidence-based and which give patients and health professionals best value in improving care and preventing disease. The hub will act as a resource center to all stakeholders to help them to better understand which kinds of mobile health solution can deliver the best benefits and how to use the technology to be most successful at achieving a positive health impact. It will also provide a platform so that people interested in mobile health can communicate with each other, learn from each other, and so we can help to promote best practice and successful mobile health programs. When mobile health is used well, it can make a powerful difference. For example, in the case of heart failure, remote monitoring services can help reduce the time that people spend in hospital, improve their cardiac function, reduce the severity of their heart failure, and improve their quality of life. We have seen in COVID-19 that mobile health apps can prove incredibly useful, not just for contact tracing, but also to help predict the geographical areas where the infection is going to become more prevalent and help to prioritize patients who are at a high risk of having the disease or of having the disease severely. On the right of this slide, you can see an example where smart technology is using accelerometers, cameras, microphones and other things for remote diagnosis, in this case for infectious disease. We're seeing an increasing number of scenarios in which the technologies within your humble smartphone can be leveraged for rapid and accurate diagnosis so people can get the most relevant healthcare quickly. Another important topic to draw your attention to is health outcomes. H2O is a public-private partnership project that is scaling up the collection and use of patient-collected health outcomes information across Europe. Health outcomes are a critical insight to help us make sure that health services are really delivering the impact that they want on the people they're trying to care for, their patients. H2O is going to establish a network of national observatories that will have a dual function. On the one hand, they will help patients to collect standardized and scientifically valid outcome measures in certain chronic diseases, so that it's possible for their health professionals to track how well each patient is doing and to use this information jointly during clinical consultations. On the other hand, H2O is going to use it for authorized research so that health systems can better design their services to maximize those health outcomes. And then at a European level, also using anonymized information, these outcomes will be made available to research organizations. This is a chart that shows you that kind of flow, and we are seeing outcomes data a bit like water. It's an essential resource to support both patient empowerment, self-improvement, but also research. And that's the magic of health outcomes, and we hope what H2O will deliver. It's important for us all to recognize that there are many kinds of data from patients and health systems that can contribute to research. But our challenge is how to create the climate that makes this acceptable and successful. On this slide, you can see that we need to use and reuse health data at the level of the individual, at the level of regional and national populations, and at a big data scale. At the individual level, we need to use health information to help improve the care each person experiences. I probably don't need to tell you how important population health and public health are, as we really have seen their importance over the past year. You're probably already also aware of the many big data opportunities for research to develop new medicines, to advance medical devices, to develop new algorithms, and to improve our understanding of disease. But if we're going to benefit from all of these many uses of data, we've got to make sure the public supports this. The challenge as we go from left to right on this slide is that there is decreasing public understanding of why and how their data are being used. The actors that use the data are not the traditional ones they are used to engaging with health systems, such as the involvement of industry. The results are not directly applicable to the patient in the near future because it takes time for the research results to be translated back into new products and services. And all of this makes it harder for the public to trust these big data uses. We therefore need to work together as a multi-stakeholder community to help grow that trust by demonstrating to the public how and why their data are useful, and that we can conduct research whilst ensuring that they and their data are well protected. This means transparency, and it means engagement with the public in defining the rules and the policies for data use. This is a topic on which my institute is now actively engaged, along with other colleagues and organizations in Europe, to help us collectively to grow that trust and to establish the best practices that will scale up the benefits from health data to all. Thank you very much.
And now, to comment on our keynote speakers' presentations, we have with us Tamara Milagre. Tamara is the president of Evita, which is a patient association with the mission to save lives and improve the quality of life for individuals and families affected by hereditary cancer. Tamara is also a representative at the European Reference Network Genturis. Thank you again, Tamara. The stage is yours. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction and for giving me the honor to comment on these two excellent presentations. Like Gözde from EPF mentioned, patient-centered means patients need to have access to their data and be in control of their data. Meaningful, informed consent mechanisms and safe data storing are therefore crucial. Of course, we all need data to gain more knowledge, which leads us to better research and development. Naturally, we need to educate our patients so they understand why it's very important to make their anonymized data available so research and development can accelerate into the right direction. We need to offer platforms with bulletproof data protection and gain their trust by educating them. Deepak from IHD talked, besides other interesting European initiatives, about the excellent program they are developing to, and I'm positive about that, successfully educate European patients and citizens. Health literacy is fundamental, especially as the future has already begun regarding precision medicine like genetics, genomics, other omics, and the use of artificial intelligence. Some needs to understand why it can't take the same expensive medicine as its neighbor, even having the same disease. But genomics told us that this medicine wouldn't work for this patient. If we do not educate patients timely, we could provoke a kind of revolution claiming an equity which doesn't apply. Now I would like to take advantage and talk about a Portuguese project that basically covers all the priorities set by the patient and citizen focus group that Deepak showed us. And I'm talking about the platform Evita. Evita is the name of our patient organization, and it's super patient-centered platform. It's a registry from citizens for the citizens. So we cover all those identified needs we saw a few time ago. We will have this registry because we learned in 2007 at some of the many conferences we already had visited that without data we won't gain the knowledge, we won't have development. In hereditary cancer, there are so few data, and patient-generated data, they are really non-existent. So, as our national cancer registry does not discriminate sporadic from hereditary cancer, we still are without any data in hereditary cancer. Then we decided we have to do it bottom up, and we joined us to a team of experts. We have an expert enterprise in informatics with us. We have an attorney that is specialized in data protection, and we have a consultant firm that helps us with the business plan and with the strategy. And this platform will be scalable, and it will be translated into several languages, because we need to go big with hereditary cancer. In fact, it's 10% of all cancers. People say, it's so rare, it's not really important. Wrong. 10% of a lot is still a lot. And when we have people still in 2021 diagnosed with genetic mutation only after they get cancer, we are failing cancer prevention. So we hope to create patient-generated data with our patient registry that leads us to new strategies to confront the hereditary cancer risk and other cancer risks. Because this platform is for anybody that is concerned with his risk for cancer because of family history of cancer or personal history of cancer. It's for any gene carrier that is already identified, can be healthy, luckily, or already sick, unfortunately. And it's for any cancer patient that is concerned with the possibility it could be hereditary. We will learn so much, and it will have such a great outcome that we expect it to be a great game changer. We have a lot of waiting times for genetic testing. We have waiting times for the preventative measures. People get sick while they wait for their prevention. So we accelerate all this process. The thing is, we do a first questionnaire where we ask 3 simple questions. And with these simple questions, we have already idea if this person should have genetic counseling. We can offer the genetic counseling in our platform. The platform works in the computer, in the iPad, in the iPhone. A person can get its whole clinical data, allowing a special access to his doctor, and so the data can be uploaded on the platform. The person can get personalized information because we are working with artificial intelligence. So health literacy will go up. The citizen will be empowered to take real place as a real partner in his health or disease management. We will have a lot of possibilities to give really targeted information. We will offer a moderated chat. The chat will be moderated by a patient expert, so there won't be given dangerous advices like it happens at the social media. And we also can give information about clinical trials that are recruiting, ongoing in whole Europe, for example, because it could be we in Portugal do not have many clinical trials. We hope to be there soon, but it's still in process. While our neighbor Spain has a lot of clinical trials, and we have had already several patients that went to clinical trials in Spain. So all this information will be there on our platform. People will have this virtual friend, this virtual shoulder to lean on. They won't be alone again, because as we saw during the hardcore lockdowns, people were not recruited to go to the hospital. So all the special vigilance for gene carriers that are at super high risk for certain types of cancers, they sit at home and think, may it start now, my cancer, and nobody will check me because I do not have symptoms. It was a really complicated time with the anxiety levels raising up. And so we have also psychological counseling on our platform is possible. We will add value to the whole system, and most of all, we will be able to improve quality of life of our citizens and patients, and we will save even more lives. Because that was the sentence, that was the beginning of our platform. We need data so we can save even more lives. Because this is a question of saving lives of young adults, mostly mother or father of little children, and they still get very sick because nobody would pay attention to the first symptoms as they are so young, and this is not allowable anymore. So we expect our platform to be a game changer, a lifesaver, and add extremely value for everybody of us. And I hope I will have an insight in all the initiatives on European level going on regarding platforms for patients, with patients. So I hope we can work together. We intend to do our platform, of course, interoperable. We just kick off because we do not wait any longer for others to do. We already complained enough, and now we are going to the action, and then I hope to work with you on European level together to save more lives together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamara, for such insightful comments and for your amazing project. Thank you. We will move now to our second topic of the day, unlocking the power of outcomes in health. Our second topic is centered on the importance of measuring health outcomes and the importance of data as a key tool for decision making. It is my great pleasure to announce here today Suzanne Gaunt, the CEO of iShom. iShom is developing a new paradigm focused on health outcomes, the results that matter most to the patients. Their vision is a world where patients ask their doctors about meaningful outcomes and doctors can respond with data-driven answers. Our next presentation starts with a question: why measure outcomes and costs? Suzanne, the stage is yours.
Hello, thank you very much for welcoming me to Portugal today, albeit virtually. I'm Suzanne Gaunt, President and CEO at iShom, and I've been asked to join you to talk about unlocking the power of outcomes in health. So to start, I wanted to think about something that's right at the beginning of Professor Porter and Professor Teisberg's Redefining Healthcare book. They say that the US healthcare system is on a dangerous path with a toxic combination of high costs, uneven quality, frequent errors, and limited access to care. And this isn't just a US problem, this is a global problem. Healthcare spending is increasing with diminishing returns, and we very much hope that with value-based healthcare we can address that problem. So if we look at the specific problem around variation in healthcare outcomes, this is, again, a worldwide problem, and here are some examples of the differences that we see with the outcomes that people achieve with specific conditions. So mortality rates after a heart attack, for example, and it doesn't matter what the intervention is or the condition, we see huge variations across the world, and this is something we want to address. So we very much hope that we can do this from a cost perspective, through a cost-saving perspective. We know that there is a huge amount of waste, and we believe that we can unlock more than $2 trillion of savings by moving to a value-based healthcare model. So by using standardized outcome measures, it will allow us to make benchmarking possible, which will enable us to continuously learn and make improvements in the delivery of care. So through transparent outcomes data, through the analysis of variation, identifying current best practices, changing behaviours, changing care pathways, taking that feedback on board and continuing to learn will ultimately result in a better value and improvement and waste reduction. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at iShom to help with this vision, and we are defining global standard sets of outcome measures that matter most to patients. We aim to provide solutions to remove the technical and operational barriers around data access and thereby facilitate the adoption of these measures. So we're trying to support everybody in the ecosystem. We are working with patients so that they have the ability to make informed and shared decisions, providers and payers with the adoption of these sets, and also with pharmaceuticals and medtech. So we're a non-profit, we're an independent organisation operating across the world. We have a network of thousands now of clinical leaders, thought leaders and patients who've helped us with the creation of the standard sets. And we have a huge global reach with normally our annual conference, but we've moved to a virtual learning series with the pandemic. But by bringing people together throughout the year to share their learnings and learn from one another on the value-based healthcare journey. And we're incredibly agile. So we've created 40 standard sets now over the 9 years that we've been in existence, with more than 30 of them having been published in peer-reviewed journals. So when we look at the process of creating standard sets, we define outcomes around specific medical conditions rather than the speciality or the procedure. And we've also gone on to look at sets such as overall adult health so that we can follow people on their journey regardless of the conditions. And we try to define the minimum viable set. So it's very much focused on the outcomes that matter most to patients. And by using the minimum set, we can look at conditions and risk factors to allow global comparisons. So we're comparing like for like across the world. As I said, patients are directly involved in the creation of the standard sets. And our goal is to capture, a wide range of outcomes that matter to patients. So those can include clinical outcomes, but also patient-reported outcome measures, for example. And we record the time points and the sources of data collection so that we can provide comparison in the results. So since we started this work, we have, as I said, we've done 40, and you can see here which sets we have completed and which we are working on. We know that there have been more than 50,000 downloads of the sets since we started making them freely available through the ICHOM website, and we've covered more than 50% of the global disease burden, and we hope very much to continue with this path of covering more of the global disease burden. So when we look at what we've done so far, we've very much focused on the creation of standard sets and trying to help people with the adoption of those standard sets through the conference, through the materials we provide to people, and through the online community and the partner program. But as we move forward, we really need to scale the adoption and make it much easier for people to implement the ICHOM standard sets. So we've created a harmonized term bank so that it's much easier when you're looking at comorbidities to be able to interchange the use of terms across the sets. So for example, if you're looking at smoking, you're not being asked very similar but slightly different questions depending on which set you're completing, and you'd be able to just use one specific set of questions that would give the same results across sets. So we've been able to reduce the number of terms, have complete harmonization, and then we've gone on to create an application where we're enhancing what's in the standard sets. So we've mapped all those terms then to SNOMED and LOINC, and we're going on to map them to other tools that we think will be helpful, like ICD-10, and in time we'll move to other areas that we think will be helpful, and we're working off the OMOP common data model when it comes to data collection from the enhanced standard sets and the digitized version. And then from there, we hope to move on to benchmarking. So this is very new for us. We have just very recently partnered with a technology provider in the Netherlands who are going to provide the engine to our benchmarking platform. And we're now in talks with organizations about putting data onto the platform. And we're going to start with breast cancer. We are talking to organizations in North America, in Spain, in the United Kingdom, in the Netherlands. So it'd be great if there's some participation from Portugal. We're starting to have a little bit of conversation with some organisations actually on cataracts in Portugal, but we're hoping to start with breast cancer, and we'll scale from there. So that's our goal with benchmarking, and we hope that by the end of the year we will have been able to collect data onto the platform, and we will be able to provide comparison globally. So that's where we're going, and I was keen to share some of this information so you could understand how you might be involved in the work that we're doing. Here is a summary of the types of projects and how you could potentially get involved. So if this is something that is interesting for you and the people that you're working with, then we'd absolutely love to hear from you. And I've left my contact information on the slide. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Suzanne, for your words. And now we are going to deep dive into a specific case study, a Portuguese case study that should inspire us all. I would like to welcome to the stage Marta Soares from IPO Porto.
Hi everyone. I'm here today to do a presentation about unlocking the power of outcomes in health. My name is Marta Soares and I work at the Portuguese Institute of Oncology in Porto. Cancer is one of the highest causes of global death and is increasing, leading to a significant economic burden. Lung cancer leads the causes of cancer death and has been related to a significant daily loss over the past years. In fact, lung cancer survival rate drops as disease progresses, and this leads to an urgent need of early diagnosis and solid disease management so that we can improve survival for our patients. The adoption of a value-based framework will support the improvement of health results, being outcome measuring a critical step for this implementation. Value-based healthcare is all about creating value for all health system stakeholders, improving the relationship between the quality of care and the required costs. The thing that we want to achieve to have more value is have patient health outcomes achieved, clinical and related to the things that the patients feel, the problems, and we want to do that by reducing the costs of delivering those outcomes. The starting point is to measure and to improve the health results that matter most for a patient condition. And we want to reduce the costs by a streamlined care delivery to only those services that improve outcomes. And we are going to increase value if we have better outcomes at equal or lower costs leads to that higher value. IPO Porto has partnered with several institutions to develop a value-based healthcare pilot project in lung cancer named For All. We associated with the Portuguese Association of Hospital Administrations, IQVIA, Roche, and ICHOM, and AllCan to do this project. This project required the definition of the most accurate care pathway to enable cost assessment and outcomes measurement. We started by defining the lung cancer patient pathway. After selecting the medical condition, we had to define the care delivery value chain and to develop the process maps that include each activity in patient care delivery. We have done lots of interviews with all the persons that treat and have some kind of activity in the process of the lung cancer patients. And after that, we had a workshop where we discussed and validated these process maps in order to achieve the lung cancer patient pathway. This was a process that took a lot of time because we had to do lots of interviews, but it was a profit one because we find some processes that needed to improve, namely the time that we were requiring to have the diagnosis and the staging of the patient before being present at a multidisciplinary council to define the treatment was too long, and at that time we decided to improve that by reserving some slots of exams to diagnosis and staging of the disease. The second part of this project was to define the lung cancer cost assessment per patient using the time-driven activity-based costing methodology, and whenever that was not possible, the degree price. With that, we obtained time estimates for each procedure, activity and resource. Whenever possible, we collected that kind of information from the informatic programs that we have at the institutions, and whenever that was not possible, we did some interviews measuring those times. So we estimated the cost of supplying patient care resources, direct or indirect resource. We estimated each resource capacity to calculate the capacity cost rate, and then to calculate the total cost of patient care. This also took a long time to do, and a lot of human resources to be able to design this. After having these results, we designed with IQVIA a model where we can introduce those data, and those data can be actualized at any time and with other pathologies. Then we went to the outcomes measurement. Initially, we wanted to collect those outcomes using the ISHAM data set, but the way that the ISHAM collects those data is not reproducible in other hospitals, and we won't be able to compare our results with the others. And so we decided to collect other kind of outcomes measurement, as I'm going to explain later. The average monthly cost and its attribution per line differ per year and per stage of the disease. In the first year, we discovered the price of 1,300 euros for the first year, and in the second year 1,200 euros. We have in the graphics the prices that the ACSS, the Portuguese entity that finances, that was a little bit higher in the first year, but in the second year was lower than the price that we achieved. And this is only referring to the years of 2016 and 2017, that were the years where we collected this information. If we did this analysis in the 2018 and 19, probably the values that we were going to find were much higher than these ones. And this is mainly to the use of the pharmacological treatment. The new treatments that are available now are more expensive and represent a large quantity of these costs. Relating to the stage, we can also see that the burden of the pharmacological treatment is mainly in the stage 4, in the more advanced stage, and in the localized stages like stage 1 and 2, the radiotherapy and the surgery represent a large volume of these monthly costs. As I was saying before, the non-availability of systemized and well-documented data that led to the selection of a subset of indicators and its analysis. We were willing to use the outcomes and the standard set of ICHOM that has already suggested tools for the patient-reported outcome measurements with the use of the quality life inquiries of the EURTC. But those outcomes are not collected, systematized in all Portuguese hospitals. So we define alternately the outcomes measurement process, followed by a stepwise approach, starting with the identification and selection of indicators, followed by information gathering and analysis. And we decided to collect the survival rate in the first and second year, the time between diagnosis and treatment initiation, the share of patients that underwent pharmacological treatment in the last 30 days of life, and the days spent in the hospital in the last 30 days of life as a quality of the treatment that we do with those kinds of patients, and the share of unplanned hospitalizations and the share of unplanned appointments. Our survival rates had a minimum follow-up of 10 months and a medium survival rate of 10 months also, with 45% of patients alive in the first year and 32 in the second year. As I mentioned before, the time between diagnosis and treatment initiation was too large in the stage 1 and 2, and with the measures that we introduced is now much lower than this one. Regarding the share of patients that underwent pharmacological treatment in the last 30 days of life, we find approximately 20% of those patients in those times, and we are also looking at these figures and trying to diminish this percentage, because we think that at the 30 days of life, most of our patients need a more palliative care approach than pharmacological active treatment. These selected indicators are easy to update and allow a development of a continuous improvement process. This project added value. We want to select outcomes that comprise relevant indicators for both clinical practice and for patients. The data necessary to calculate the selected indicators is gathered systematically and is easy to update and to compare with other institutions. They can be applied to other pathologies, and the measuring of quality of life leads to a process of continuous improvement. We think that measuring the quality of life and analyzing its results allows the structuring of an alternative hospital funding model associated to incentives towards therapeutic care and procedural excellence. We have some hurdles and limitations. The ICHOM lung cancer standard set is not systematically collected in Portuguese hospitals. We think that PROMs are very important to include in the outcomes measurement, and we started to collect those PROMs recently. From October last year, we are collecting this data prospectively in order to have those data incorporated in our daily practice. There should be a greater focus and incentive towards the outcome collection and measurement and the structuring of a continuous improvement process. We think that the value-based healthcare implementation success is highly dependent of institution factors, and we think that they are all present in our institution. We have a strong leadership. We have an organizations that care for the patient and his healthcare professionals. We have the healthcare professionals' involvement. We hope we have the right incentives and the proper IT system. This project has several benefits, from the better understanding of the patient pathway to the financial efficiency and quality care improvements. From the patient pathway design perspective, we have a better and deeper knowledge of our clinical practice. We have now the ability to do a continuous improvement of patient care and clinical practice, and the standardization of the patient pathway will help to improve this. The costing analysis will help us to better understand the real costs of lung cancer treatment and allow us the understanding of how hospitals can be more financially efficiency, and we will have the ability to benchmark real costs with other institutions and with the comprehensive price currently set by our payers. We think that measuring patient value outcomes is extremely important because it will help us to have a care quality measurement and international benchmark, and measuring care quality and outcomes will enable the identification of a best incentive-based funding model linked with therapeutics care and procedural excellency. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much for the presentation and for the closing part of this panel. I will now invite Claudia Furtado from InfarMed to bring us her perspective on the topic and to comment both presentations. Thank you again for your comment.
Hello everyone. It's with pleasure that I will make a short comment on these two presentations that highlight the importance of data collection to improve health outcomes. From the first presentation, I would like to focus on the importance of having more standardized data between institutions, countries, regulators, and financing entities. And also on the importance of having outcomes that are recognized by different stakeholders, not only healthcare professionals, but also patients. Only with standardized and accepted data, we can compare practices in order to identify the ones that really improve outcomes in the more efficient way to healthcare systems. Only with standardized data, we can join efforts at a national or European level to analyze, for instance, rare disease that definitely will need data from more than one setting and from more than one countries in several circumstances. The second presentation is also a good example that is achievable to collect data in one institution that allow us to follow one disease, in this case lung cancer, in its different stages, and it allows us to measure costs, identify treatment patterns, and measure outcomes. This is important to identify and promote the more efficient clinical pathway and to improve the use of available resources in a healthcare system, which is completely aligned with the perspective of InfarMed on evidence generation. To InfarMed, real-world evidence is important not only to monitor effectiveness and reassess new drugs, but also to analyze treatment patterns and the cost of the disease. To conclude, and considering the topic of this conference, we need to take more advantage of electronic healthcare records that are in place in our health systems, in our NHS, avoiding duplication of efforts on registering information and also on collecting data. And also take advantage of the digital transition that is in place in Europe, but also in Portugal. I think that we can have more evidence-based and more value-based decisions if we take more advantage of the data that we generate and if we work together to transform this data in knowledge that support our decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments, and that wraps up the second part of the conference. And now we have reached the final topic of today's conference. Multi-stakeholder collaboration has a key enabler for the future of e-health. So joining us on stage, we have Gabriela Lavezari from European Federation from Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations. Looking forward to your presentation, Gabriela.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this session. My name is Gabriela Lavezari. I'm the Vice Chair of the EFPIA Digital Health Working Group. EFPIA, or the European Federation for Pharmaceutical Industry and Association, represents the pharmaceutical industry operating in Europe. It has a very wide membership with 36 national associations, 39 leading pharmaceutical companies, and a growing number of small and medium-sized enterprises. The mission of EFPIA is to create a collaborative environment that enables our members to innovate, discover, develop, and deliver new therapies and vaccines for people across Europe, as well as contribute to the European economy. Our vision is for a healthier Europe, a future based on prevention, innovation, access to new treatment, and better outcome for patients. The Pharmaceutical Strategy was published on November the 25th, which creates opportunity to support a competitive and innovative European pharmaceutical industry, with some of the proposals that actually do not require change in the legislation, such as encouraging the use of new clinical trial, use of real-world evidence in decision-making, and also strengthening the dialogue between the industry and the regulators through medicine development process, so it's easier and more efficient communication between the two parties. The intention is to create a trustworthy European data ecosystem with a transparent framework for increasing access and analysis by innovator. This will unlock the value of data with benefits for patients. And recently, Europe has released the first ever legal framework for AI and a new coordinated plan with member states, which is a step forward towards setting a pan-European rule for AI and setting up clear rules for developers to invest in new technologies. But we all go back to what is the value of data? Well, we can look at a quote from OECD that states that as much as 30% of the world's stored data are currently produced by health system. But the health system actually lags behind the exploitation of this potential. It's a sector which data is rich, but information poor. And that is so true. We have so much data produced every day by the healthcare sector, but we cannot turn into a credible insight that can be used for science, but also for decision making. At the same time, data is the new currency, and it is estimated that 70% of new value created in the economy over the next decade will be based on digital-enabled platform business model. Society that will be able to take advantage of their data to generate credible answer from the data, to become data-driven, will be able to advance faster. COVID, for example, has highlighted the importance of availability of high data and ability to conduct a reliable analysis. Additionally, I think we have observed a flourish of digital technology like remote monitoring and teleconsultation. However, we also have observed that we fell short. Being able to conduct rapid observational research addressing the need of the moment, pre, during, post-pandemic, is a real challenge for the healthcare and the industry. Our information system to ensure timely insight generation to support decision-making are not yet fit for purpose. The challenge that we need to face are real. We are looking at the pandemic as the first step and really acted as a catalyst for numerous development to really propel the healthcare setting. At FBIA, we represent an innovative knowledge-based industry where data is so fundamental, all that we do. And even before COVID, we have been advocating to unlock the value of data to support the use and the reuse of health data, while also calling for a regulatory acceptance of digital technology to improve research and innovation in the health ecosystem. By now, all the stakeholders in the healthcare sector agree that there are undeniable benefits in creating trustworthy and secure data ecosystem. The tools and technology that will reshape healthcare are rapidly becoming available in hospital and home across Europe. The digital transformation is already here. So what are some examples that we have observed in the past year? For example, we have looked at optimized diagnosis. So radiology departments are using artificial intelligence to optimize diagnosis, where AI is applied to detect early symptoms of cancer. Enhanced monitoring. Smart inhaler are monitoring asthma patients when they use their medication, monitor patient adherence to the drug thanks to digital devices. Enable remote engagement, so medical specialists are offering advice to patients and training colleagues remotely. But also, once the interoperability is provided, we can connect all this type of different data points all together. So clinics are securely sharing vital patient information to enhance individual care, to have a holistic picture about the patient health status, to avoid repetitive exam and repetitive procedures. Our vision for the digital health transformation is to enable innovation. That comes first. Ensure Europe's digital agenda support pharmaceutical innovation. And we work with the various stakeholders and participate in every advisory forum, advisory group, any forum that we can continue to influence to ensure the stakeholder acceptance, where support regulatory acceptance of data and digital opportunities. Enhance effectiveness, so we optimize and increase effectiveness of the current business model. But we also expect disruption, so prepare for the impact of digital disruption on business model and relationship between parties, patients, clinicians, and others. We remain, though, patient-focused with this human-centric approach. We want to continue to deliver patient benefit through digital solution and continue to accelerate healthcare through drug development using this technology. And we still remain behind the value of a collaboration. So encourage public-private partnership to find solution to blockage, like interoperability, for example, address limited concern, like privacy, and ensure that digital transformation is geared towards better care for all patient outcome. What will be the added value for the pharmaceutical industry? On these slides, you have the application of artificial intelligence, specifically in pharma supply chain. So starting from a clinical discovery and the research and development by helping to understand disease and natural history, treatment patterns, patient management optimization, and in public and public health. It can improve the potential value of product in development by identifying the indication and subgroup that will most likely benefit from a new treatment. But it can also help us to design and run new trials through feasibility simulation and support of the recruitment. It definitely plays an important role in the manufacturing by automating certain tasks. And it changes the way we communicate all the way through healthcare professionals and patients, inform marketing strategy, and in pharmacovigilance, so when we look at the post-market, it can monitor and help us to track the performance of the medicine in certain population. So it really has a big potential to optimize not just our business model, but truly to deliver transformational medicine faster to patients. So in order to do so, and to fulfill this vision, in which we all want better patient outcome, the system itself has to be digital enabled. This means working with policymaker, regulator, and healthcare provider to ensure that we have the infrastructure, the data security framework, and the mindset required to capitalize on the opportunity that lie before us. A concrete case study is a project called Pulse AI. The project has used real-world data and AI in concert to help detect patients with undiagnosed atrial fibrillation in the UK general practice. This is just one of the many examples out there where combining data and artificial intelligence or novel technology has really improved and accelerated caring for patients. The creation of an European data space is one of the priorities of the Commission for 2019-2025, which include the health sector. A common European health data space will promote better exchange and access to different types of health data, which include electronic health medical records, genomics data, data from patient registry, and potentially from all sorts of devices. But this is not only to support the healthcare delivery, which is usually called the primary use of the data, but also for health research and clinical research, which is usually considered secondary use of the data. The entire data system will be built on a transparent foundation to fully protect privacy and data of the citizen, reinforce the portability of their health data, and is stated in the Article 20 of the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. The European health data space will be built on three main pillars. The first one is a strong system of data governance and rules for data exchange. The second one, which is paramount, is data quality. And the last one is a strong infrastructure and interoperability. FBA is definitely actively engaged in any consultation and specific opportunity for us to shape. I have replied to the exception impact analysis on the European data space and the draft proposal for the Data Governance Act, which are pieces of legislation that support the delivery implementation of the European data space. And now we are preparing to reply to the public consultation to continue provide what we think is paramount for industry to access and use the data for the benefit of patients. One of the few slides that I want to add, this is definitely new, is the new regulatory development for AI and machine learning with the AI Act. FBA has worked on an initial position. We definitely have an initial assessment of the AI Act as we continue to look into it. And we definitely welcome a risk-based approach with an oversight proportionate to the intended use. That was very critical for us, and we are really pleased to see that in the current Act. Our position is to look at if regulation should be adequate and appropriate, clear and consistent. We think, and because of AI, access to high quality data is indispensable. There is no AI without data, and good AI means good data. To define the level of transparency, intellectual property protection should be effective and predictable. AI literacy and competence building is an enabler, but also the EU leadership and coordination. As we look at continue the analysis, we want to stress the importance of high quality data to ensure reliable and unbiased AI solution, which is the call in the AI Act. In order to do that, we need to really be mindful that we need to avoid fragmented implementation. The implementation of the member states needs to be harmonized as much as possible. And then we're going to continue to engage with international partners to assess how the rules will apply internationally, so that we don't look at Europe as a silo, but we continue to collaborate across the globe. The last slides I want to show and share with you is the IMI Digital Health. FBA via IMI, which is a public-private partnership, is addressing challenges ahead of creating secure and trustworthy digital ecosystem. To give you an example of selected IMI project, I'm going to take you through a couple. The first one is Eden. Eden's mission is to reduce the time to provide an answer in the real world. It will achieve this by developing the required infrastructure in a federated network at scale across Europe, collaboration and research methodologies, and education in an open source site collaboration in the 21st century. While Eden is helping to create a distributed network, which will allow researchers to mine the data of 100 million EU citizens while complying with GDPR, which we all know, unfortunately, is still a challenge because of the lack of a harmonization in the implementation across member states. Another example is Radar CNS, a collaborative research program exploring the potential of wearable devices to help prevent and treat depression, multiple sclerosis, and epilepsy. Mobilize ID, which is digital measurement of how well people with Parkinson's disease can walk, provide valuable and precise feedback on patient ability to carry out the daily task. All these initiatives are really highlighting the importance of data, but also the importance of digital. And Europe has a very unique role to get this right for patients. And FBA and the pharmaceutical industry really looking forward to work with all the partners to get this right and continue to improve patient outcome. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you enjoy the presentation and look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you, Gabriela, for your presentation. And now to comment on the challenge and opportunities of stakeholder collaboration, we have Duarte Sequeira from SPMS, the Shared Services of the Portuguese Ministry of Healthcare.
Hi everyone, thank you Gabriela for your intervention on the contribution of the pharmaceutical industry. Your intervention raises several important aspects on this urgent need for collaboration to enhance and use data for the good of the citizens. I would like to really take this opportunity to talk a bit about our NHS Portuguese strategy. Back to 2019, we set out the vision, strategic goals and roadmap of health data governance for secondary use, advanced analytics, and artificial intelligence for the Portuguese National Health Service. The overall objective was to provide guidance on handling big data in health within the existing legal and regulatory framework, so that we could advance secondary use of health data and foster innovative use of data science and artificial intelligence technology across the healthcare and public health sector for the benefits of society, individuals, and the performance of our National Health Service. So considering that, the success of adapting to new technologies and innovation really depends on the way the enormous potential health data offers for improving people's health and health systems performance in designing and the strategy really builds on national, international recommendations and guidance. So together, all the recommendations that we saw underpinned the development of this strategy that we have, and its guidelines really reflect the most important expectations of big data and AI for health, as well as the foundational principles for the ethical use of data for privacy protection, safety, fairness, and inclusion. So the data strategy for the next generation Portuguese digital health service is fully aligned with our other national strategies for AI, also intersectorial strategies, and it really calls for a comprehensive approach to strengthen the digital transformation within the NHS. So, Gabriela, you really talked about this, but health policies really must have and be guided by reliable health status indicators that measure efficiency of allocation of scarce public resources to improve health. So strong data-driven health policies really assure or can assure that citizens receive high quality and coherent care from a modern and efficient healthcare system. Digital transformation in Portugal has advanced significantly last years. So currently our country has a digital national health service that coexists with the traditional NHS, encompassing healthcare provider institutions, and central agencies like SPMS. So it's really composed by a network of multiple telehealth services and health information systems that collect and communicate data on people's health and healthcare delivery. One of the rapidly growing areas of innovation in the health sector really lies in the use of data science and artificial intelligence, and the European Commission really states and helps and has been a good help in doing its strategy and presenting its strategy to all member states. Like in other sectors, there is now more data stored about the health of the Portuguese and European population than ever before. So data stored in our NHS is a unique source of value for Portugal and for health protection of the population. And during the pandemic, we really saw and understood that. Furthermore, it's now possible to store and analyze this big volume of data much more cheaply due to intelligent computer processing skills, which can quickly interpret large volumes of stored data. And the new electronic data on population health, in terms of technical processing power and advanced telemedicine and communication platforms, really offer innovative opportunities to address fundamental health system challenge of universal coverage, high quality of care, and financial sustainability. So a transformation is more than needed for the Portuguese NHS and all the NHSs that faces considerable pressure on human and financial resources because we have a really aging population with multiple diseases. So it is also well recognized that reforming health systems to face current challenge cannot be done without having data in mind. In terms of secondary use of data and AI to be foundational of a meaningful, responsible, and ethical digital transformation of all European NHSs, the overarching values of trust, quality, efficiency, and innovation must be placed at the core and be assessed and evaluated throughout the process. So we have these 4 core values. One is trust, then quality, efficiency, and innovation that really guides us through this process. And in terms of key areas for a data-driven national health service, we really believe that we need in the center to have a good stakeholder engagement, having citizens, health professionals, health institutions, central agencies, and other institutions that work and have interest in working with data, so that we can have advanced primary health care oriented analytics. We have a good legal and ethical framework. We foster innovation and collaboration and really enhance national public health intelligence. Because an efficient data-driven transformation of every national health service must be operationalized based on clearly defined structural principles applicable to all action plans that encompass data management and reuse. So we need robust governance, customer-centered approach, privacy and security, standards-based data, interoperability, use of new data sources, flexibility, and openness to change and research and development. So in conclusion, and thank you, Gabriela, for your intervention, to make sure information is accurate and truly actionable, it really requires an adequate technical and regulatory framework, bringing together all the expertise across all aspects of technology, law, and health to successfully build a value-based environment. Digital health is not just computer science or engineering science, it's a social and behavioral science. And the NHS really must seek to align all stakeholders on value, bring predictive and prescriptive analytics to personalized care, and further engage and educate patients in their own care. So truly personalized medicine and public health intelligence can share the same population-based foundation that relies upon the creation of complete longitudinal patient records and requires health analytics that moves beyond the descriptive capabilities of the past to predictive analytics and AI, and not just unlocking health data, but really reinventing how much data should be collected and applied. So we really propose a continuum of steps to do that, but you really mentioned good examples, and I would like to add 2 examples of Portuguese NHS. One is Derma-AI, which is artificial intelligence to teledermatological screening This project aims to improve current teledermatology solutions for skin lesions diagnosis using in primary care units and hospital dermatology departments. And the other project is our NHS 24, the contact center. We have a project that is called Scout AI, which aims to improve NHS contact center using artificial intelligence so that clinical services can be enhanced and use machine learning and natural language processing to support their activity. I mean, the nurses that work in the contact center to really know and take advantage of all previous similar events and collective experience of the nurses. And the AI backend algorithm is expected to decrease time to patient referral and care and improve service quality through consistency of application and better use of standardized referral patient pathways. So thank you all for your attention today and have a nice summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo Sequeira, for your insightful comments. And now I will make a final remark based on all the inspirational presentations and projects that we had here today. So, as we know, there is an unprecedented space of opportunity for innovation in healthcare. E-health and digital health have evolved rapidly, but digital is often confused with the simple implementation of technological systems instead of being related to making the experience more human and relevant for each patient. As Gosder Suslu said, data saves lives, highlighting the importance of health data to improve understanding of how it's used and to establish a trusted environment for a positive dialogue of benefits of data sharing, privacy issues, and informed choices of participating in research. Despite its usual lag in digital transformation, healthcare is now catching up with the rest of the economy. The future of healthcare is digital, and the leaders in that future will act proactively with agility and a focus on innovation. 10 years from now, we won't be talking about digital health because all healthcare will be exponentiated by digital technology. The integration of these different exponential technologies can be seen from different perspectives. On one hand, integrating these technologies focus on improving healthcare. On the other hand, looking in an integrated way how digital health can be a strategic lever for health systems transformation. Now I would like to highlight Deepak Khaira's words. Informed and wise decisions about what technologies to adopt is difficult in a complex digital landscape. However, when patients understand how their data can be used for research, they are actually willing to contribute. And remember, health outcomes are like water, essential to healthcare. We know there is still a time gap between data availability and return. We need transparency, engagement, and trust in the full process. With the changes resulting from the pandemic crisis, there is a new look at the transformative potential of these technologies in the face of the complex challenges that we face. What seemed impossible before the pandemic has been widely accepted. Ultimately, we need to reimagine how data is used and healthcare itself is delivered. As Susan Gaunt said, there is a huge amount of waste. We need benchmark to continuously learn and make improvements. Identifying value-based healthcare best practices will ultimately change behavior and make quality improvements and reduce waste in healthcare. We need to move from a provider-centric health system where patients are passive recipients of care to healthcare ecosystems that empower people, leveraging digital infrastructure and technology to support and enable greater participation of people in healthcare. It is therefore important to develop ambidextrous organizations in health, trying to reconcile the ability to optimize current processes while at the same time exploring and validating new innovative care delivery models. These organizations need greater autonomy and agility, as well as greater ability to adapt to the demands and expectations of professionals and patients. As the famous novelist Arundhati Roy said, historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next, and sees this portal to a new world where health is better, more accessible, and more human. And that was the real purpose of our conference today. Thank you very much.